Hello and welcome to Return to Eberron, Cult of the Godseed. My name is Matt Nahat and I am the GM for this game in Eberron. I have with me my good friends from overseas who are playing their characters in this adventure, and we have but one big session after this to go, and that will wrap us up for this third and final chapter for our adventures in Eberron, which is kind of sad but kind of exciting, as next year we have some different plans. But welcome everybody to this game. We'll get everybody to introduce their characters, and I'll go to Lana first. Mary is in a public place, so we may have a little bit of background noise, so please excuse us for that. But she'll try to keep herself muted to when she's not talking to prevent too much of that. But we'll go over to you first, since that's the case. And there was silent. There we go. She's just dropping out and dropping back in again. How are we doing now? Okay. As always, technical issues are the bomb. We'll then go to Don. Introduce your character for us while we fix Mary.
Hello, I will be playing the role of Dawn, half-orc, druid, brother of the head shaman, fearless adventurer. He fights for that which is furry.
That which is furry. And Silas?
There we go. Yeah, my name is Corey. I'm playing Silas Phoenix tonight, and he doesn't have a real good look right now.
He doesn't look good. That is true.
He does not have a good look right this minute. So we'll see. We'll see what this day brings, because I'm a player, and I kind of think I know.
Maybe. We'll see. Felice?
All right, yeah. I'm Chris Johnson, and I am playing Felice. She is a student of archaeology who is close to getting her master's, and I've been out a lot, so I'm a little out of touch with what happened last session. So I'm looking forward to the recap.
Yeah, we'll catch you up, not a problem. And finally, Bones Bastion.
Hi, I'm Bones. Bastion is the name of the character I'm playing. He is a clockwork warforged cleric who is focused on finding redemption. He's currently butting heads with Silas and struggling to come to terms with the simpler things in life.
Very good. And we'll try to go back to Mary one last time. Oh, not one last time, but we'll try.
Hello, I'm Mary Chris, and I'm playing Lana May. And yeah, she is bravely running away right now.
brave, Sir Robin. All right.
Lana May, brave Lana May.
Yes, doesn't quite fit this tune, but that's all right. So yes, last time we gathered the last of the Destiny Arms, these ancient and powerful artifacts, and we, together with those, we met some, I guess, ghost giants who are trapped here on the mortal realm after many years, and they're just trying to find release. They're trying to get, free themselves from I guess imprisonment here. That's how they see it, and have their spirits be free. And one of them, their leader, is Delth. He has agreed to help us he made us a deal that if we helped free the rest of the giant ghosts, that he would take us here to this ancient forge. It's called the Elemental Locus, and there or here he would imbue a mundane item each for each of our characters to make it into a magical item, a very rare to very rare magical item, which we thought was a pretty good deal, as we know that we're up against some pretty hefty foes, namely Lady Vol, a half dragon lich, and leader of one of the biggest organizations in Corvair. And yeah, so we have made our way here to the Elemental Locus. Unfortunately, when we arrived, there was and is a Warforged here. I will bring him back up and present his picture to you. That's him there. And yeah, he basically said, this is my forge. You are not welcome. And we're like, oh, we've come here for a very special purpose. We have all of this business. If you don't let us do stuff, then the whole world's gonna end and evil will triumph. And he's like, there is no evil. It's good or evil, it's all the same. It's just, everything's just the same. It doesn't matter to me. And yeah, he started to fight us. He seems to be immune to the dangers of the Forge. So a little bit of a recap as to what we're experiencing here. The Elemental Locus itself is emanating a very fierce aura. It's an aura of virulence, which basically means if any of us would have been resistant or immune to fire damage, that we lose our resistance or immunity. And that any creatures that didn't have resistance or immunity to fire damage gain disadvantage on saving throws, and fire does double damage to them. And it just so happens that almost every attack that comes from this Warforged is fire, so we've been taking double damage pretty much the entire battle. So it's not been very nice. Currently, Silas is on the floor, knocked unconscious, I believe. If I remember correctly, yes, he is. And
yeah, he's on the floor. He's made one save.
yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe not especially close to death, but close enough. And we had a little bit of a conundrum that Bastian, for whatever reason, was, I don't know about the word reluctant, but he wasn't healing Silas. When maybe not 100% sure about why. We think that there is a bit of a thing between them, and that maybe Silas has said, don't heal me then, and he's like, fine, I won't, or something. But in the end, whatever's happening, that was last time, and this is this time. And our situation, I suppose, is a little bit different. Lana, having seen and felt the battle in here, and feeling how hot it is inside, sort of decided this really isn't for me. Currently, we're just about to start a new round. to that here. So that. And at the moment, right at this second, we can't see the Warforged, but we know he's about to appear. Isdelth, the ghost giant, has moved himself up here to the forge because his intention is to try and disable the Locus. If he disables the Locus, then we will stop taking double damage and stop taking disadvantage on our saving throws against fire. And so he knows how to operate this, he knows how to get it started again, so he's just trying to help with that. That's kind of the state of the battle at the moment. Obviously, you know, I would like us, if we make decisions today, maybe to be a little bit more on the open hand kind of thing, so that we can maybe see, maybe not as characters, but maybe as players, see into each other's characters to know maybe what each other as players are thinking. Just to facilitate a little bit of meta knowledge, but obviously we're not going to use that as our characters. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But it's just a thought that occurred to me. But we'll get right back into the action here. It looks like the first turn is that of the actual elemental locus, and because the Warforged is not there, the Forge Master is not at the forge, it doesn't actually have an action this turn. It continues to concentrate on this aura, and it looks like now I don't have.
Doesn't the room thing would still go off? It's done at every turn.
What's this? Sorry.
The room action would happen to. Oh, that's because he was near us?
So as far as the aura of the fire resistance killing aura, so that continues as long as the locus concentrates, but it can't produce more lackeys like this clockwork beetle here without him being at the forge.
Okay.
So it doesn't take any other actions beyond concentrating because it's inanimate.
Okay.
It's not. It doesn't have sentience or anything. It basically does what it's commanded to do, which is why.
But in the last session, on one of the turns of the baddies, it did this pulse of damage, right? In the room. It did it every turn. Why I'm so low.
Well, whenever the guy moved, he teleported onto us and did area of effect damage. And then he also took damage when you're attacking him with his fire shield.
Yeah.
Right. And also, and also every turn there was that damage, yeah. But he didn't jump every turn. He was there just stagnant for two of those turns. So
Okay.
there's something within the room that was making it happen.
Okay.
He'd jump and then would move back, basically. He was just moving a short distance.
So I apologize that because I don't remember doing anything more than concentrating for the room, nor doing damage that wasn't coming from the Forge Master himself. So if I did that, then I was doing the wrong thing. So I don't know if I did or if I didn't, but
Fine. That might save our boy.
Yeah, we'll see. So, like I said, the Forge doesn't get a turn this turn because it's not being commanded. So, Don, it is your turn. Currently, the Forge Master is unseen. He is in the lava. And as Bones said in chat, he was like, well, wouldn't he be taking damage from the lava like we are? But it seems like, for whatever reason, that he's immune to the effects that that this thing has. So I don't know. Maybe we'd want to do checks about that at some point to try and figure out what's going on here. And I think when it comes to Isdel's turn, I think that's potentially something that he might look at. But yeah, I have to. We didn't roll initiative for you, Felice. So if you click on your token and add that to the list, that would be helpful for us, please. As we didn't want to do any actions for you.
That makes sense. Cool. Here we go.
Okay. All right. So I will rearrange.
Holy
this.
cow!
So actually, in this situation, you're actually going to go first before the Locust would even get a chance to. Now, let's talk about how you come upon this battle. The character, at least, would have accompanied us here and has seen and heard what I've described, and I apologize that you, as a player, haven't, and it might be a little bit of a disconnect.
A little bit.
And I apologize for that. But if at any time you have any questions or need any clarification or anything like that, that's fine. As far as what Felice has done, she was focused on something else and she didn't really want to come in here. As soon as she came into the tunnel that was leading here, it was super hot, and she's like, you know what, guys, you guys go in there and forge your weapons and whatever else. I might come and join you in a bit. She had her mind on some of the other discoveries that she's been experiencing. But Felice, you've been hearing some pretty awful sounds of battle inside this cave, and that's something that no one, including yourself, were expecting. And I think that Lana was on her way. Don't let me put words in your mouth, Mary, but I think that Lana was on her way out to call you inside.
Right.
So yeah, you hear Lana calling out for you, and can make it inside. We won't spend movement for you to get you inside. We'll just assume that that's part of a previous turn, and that this turn where you are now is kind of where you are, just to facilitate getting you in here. And it does, you come upon this scene. It's very hot. Silas is on the ground, unconscious. He seems to be very hot himself. There's lava flowing in all of these troughs. You don't see a major combatant, but you do see this sort of clockwork creature with fire underneath its armor that seems to be maybe animating it, or anyway, it's imbued with fire. And you see Isdelth the ghost up here at the forge, and you see a floating thing up to the north. You've never seen anything quite like it. I will quickly present that to you. It's this thing. And it's floating above the lava, and the heat both is coming from the lava and from it, and you can see it pulsating, and it sort of has like almost an acoustic sound as it continues to concentrate. So they're the major things that you can see and hear and feel inside this place. at the moment. At the moment, you don't see the major big bad guy because he's currently in the lava. So what would you like to do, Felice?
All right. Well, I think seeing a party member down, I think Felice would make a beeline for him and cast Cure Wounds.
Okay.
So, let's see. Actually, and you know what? How do we cast that at a higher level?
It should automatically be in the text. You just tell me. So if you click on the button, we'll just have a look at it.
Okay. So Cure Wounds. All right, so I can do. Oh, I just select the.
So just cast it, and we'll have a look at it in the chat.
Great.
Yeah. So you'll see that it has a level 2. So initially, if you cast it as a level 1 spell, it would be 4 HP. And then if you cast it at level 2, you get another 6. If you cast it at level 3, it's another 1. And cast it at level 4, it's another 3.
Okay. So I don't actually think I have level 4. But I will cast it at level 3.
All right, yeah. So you deal him, let's see, 4, 6, so it's 10, 11 plus, what is your spellcasting modifier, your wisdom?
Let's see. Sorry.
You're all right.
My wisdom is 10. I don't have a modifier on it.
Right, so it's just going to be 11 HP. Now, just right at this moment, and this is confounding to you, nothing seems to change about Silas. You've touched him, you feel the healing power leaving your body and coursing into his, but there is no sound, there is no movement, and he stays still for the moment, and that
Okay.
is kind of confounding. You don't understand this. You've never had this problem before. I sound
Right.
I sound like something
I
else.
look around and panic. Like, what's happening?
But you definitely felt the healing power coursing through you. You definitely know that it's gone into him, but it doesn't seem to be having an effect right at the moment. We'll investigate that a little bit more, but we have in our minds that Silas has 11 points of healing. Just right now, it hasn't taken effect for whatever reason.
Okay.
Don, it is your turn.
All right. Well, seeing that Felice is taking care of Silas, I'll leave her to that.
I have
Let
something.
me measure out my walk distance.
Yeah, I have a little something for you here, Don. Before you go too far into your turn, remember how you did bring, I think it was George in this case, or was it Spicy? I can't remember. Into the battle, a fire elemental, and
Spicy.
it was Spicy, and you know. You commanded Spicy to attempt to attack both the creature and the Forge Master, the little minion and the Forge Master, and not really have as much of an effect as perhaps you would have liked. And you, seeing that it wasn't really doing very much, you dismissed him. Is that right? I'm just trying.
Yeah, his attacks did no damage to either of them because they're immune to fire, and which meant that Spicy being there, if I lost concentration, he would start attacking us.
Right.
And so it wasn't helping us at all.
Yeah.
But was a danger. It's safer for me to dismiss him at will rather than lose control.
Right. Has Spicy ever talked back to you, Don?
I do not think so.
Well, this happens now. You hear a voice speaking through the planar, through a planar rift, and it sounds like a roaring fire. But do you speak Auran or any of the sort of elemental languages?
I have the circlet of comprehend languages.
Cool. So yeah, you can even as a reaction, you know, as this roaring comes into your ears, even as a reaction, I would allow you to activate that to facilitate
Sure.
this communication. And yeah, you hear him speak to you, and um, he says, "Master of the beasts and elements, I am he who you have called Spicy."
Spicy? Are you not on the plane of elemental fire?
He says, "Yes, I speak from there."
I'm confused. How can this be?
He says, "I am too, but this was a way for me to communicate with you. Something is amiss here in the elemental plane of fire."
How so?
He says, there is a place that we all know of, a place that we occasionally visit. It's difficult to explain to someone who's not from here, but I suppose if I was to put it into words, it would be like a religious place, maybe a shrine or something of that nature, where people would go to reflect, meditate, speak with their god or with a being of power. We don't see it the same way. We don't worship this, but we do revere it. It is a thing that we call the living flame. The living flame is not here, he says. When you sent me back, I appeared back where I was, and I felt a call to go and spend some time at this, for want of a better word, shrine. But when I arrived, the living flame was gone.
I don't know what to tell you, Spicy. If I, what does it look like? Perhaps if I see it, I'll tell you where it is.
He says, "Do you recall being in that wet place with the glowing blue stone?"
Yes.
He says, "Do you recall that there was a being that when it was attacked, uh, a fire came out and it started to dance? The living flame is a bit like that, but not an infant. In fact, it is ancient. And it is bigger and more powerful than that. But that is kind of how it looks. Maybe not like an infant like it was, but like that."
strange and mystical.
He says, without the living flame, I'm afraid, he says, for possibly the first time. Without it, I don't know that things are going to be the same here. There's unrest due to it being missing. I haven't had the chance to speak with the other elementals yet to find out how long it's been missing, and I haven't visited the living flame in quite some time. It's not something we do on a daily basis. It's something that we do whenever we feel we should, for whatever reason, like an internal reason. So I don't know, but I'm going to try and find out. He then will. He says, I don't know if there's anything you can do, but I just wanted to tell you. I'll get back into touch if I find anything more. And he'll break off communication with you and you can resume your turn.
So strange. Things just get more and more troubling. Don's gonna move away from the others and towards the bridge, and he'll prep an action to eye blast our Warforged enemy
When he appears.
once he reappears.
When he appears. Yeah.
That's the end of his turn.
Okay, thank you. And Lana?
All right. Lana, seeing police run over to Sass, will kind of sort of head in that. Come on, let me drag my character. Kind of sort of head over in that direction, utilizing this pillar, and ready in an action attack those swarmy majigger buggy things if they try to go after Silas or police or herself.
Okay. Very good. It is the Forge Master's turn. He will emerge. And he will spend his turn interacting with the Forge. And you can see that he slams his massive hammer down upon it. You're not sure what this means. He utters words that you do not understand, even with the helm of comprehend languages, because you concentrated on the language that this fire elemental was talking. This Warforged is speaking in a different language to that. So you can't just flip languages, unfortunately. But that's how he spends his turn. None of you get damaged in this turn because of that. But maybe that's bad. We don't know. Silas, it is your turn. And you are experiencing a kind of a dream state. You are unconscious. You failed your death save. And you see death, your death, streaming towards you. You have committed your life to the cause of the White Phoenix. This strange, mystical force that has told you that one person in every generation must be the White Phoenix, and you committed yourself to that. But you see your death. You feel like you have a choice. You feel like if you choose to fight, that the White Phoenix, even if you die, could bring you back, because that is part of its power. But at the same time, you see a number of things. You see a little bit of the flash of your life streaming past your unconsciousness, your unconscious dream. The fulfillment of having a family, of finding love, of all of the things that you've done in your life, of the choice that you made to leave a life of shadow behind, and to embrace the light of the White Phoenix, and some of your childhood, which we don't need to go into. But all of this flashes before your eyes, and for whatever reason, you feel the power of the healing that Felice spoke and touched your body with. And for whatever reason, that hasn't had an effect. And it was like it was waiting. It was like it was waiting to see how you would respond. Do you want to live, Silas? Is a question that seems to be in your mind. You're seeing a vision of all of this, and overlaid on that is almost like, to our eyes, maybe like a hologram, but not perhaps in black and white or blue and white, but in full color. And it's physically a white phoenix, but it's not corporeal in your vision. It's sort of overlaying everything, and it seems to be waiting for your decision. This might seem strange to you. I don't know.
Yeah. um. He doesn't have a lot of fight in him right now, Matt. Mr. Hat.
So tell us about why. Where's the fight gone?
I don't know. Just feels like he absolutely feels like he's already dead, and that he's looking at this through, a vision, just like you said. He doesn't feel attached to it any, and he doesn't even feel as if he can be attached. Like the answer's already been given.
Okay. You remember the uncomfortable warmth that you're experiencing with the scales. What I want to give you at this point, as you feel a disconnection, is it's still a warmth, but it's not an uncomfortable warmth, and it's kind of like a reassuring warmth, and it's coaxing you, and it's caressing your consciousness, and it's basically trying to comfort and trying to pull you back, but it's not doing so in a forceful way, but in a maybe a pleading way.
Okay. I can get down with that. That's what you're saying.
Right. And that seems to be coming from the White Phoenix.
That visage of the White Phoenix that I can see.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so with feeling that warmth and taking it in and getting to that core of what a person really is, like the spark of themselves, he tries to will himself to do so, to reach towards the that warmth in the White Phoenix.
When you reach towards the warmth of the White Phoenix, the healing that Felice performed takes effect. And you heal for 11.
Okay.
You regain consciousness for a minute, or for a second. You see her standing over you, and you see a look of puzzlement, just confusion, and you see Lana like literally a few steps away with a look of concern. And
I don't think that he sees it that way. He's still seeing the same thing that he saw before. Like he may have physically been revived, but he feels like he's still watching himself from
from
a
a
position outside of.
distance. Okay. Okay. That's fine. Um, I guess because you still see it at a distance, there's one last thing. And you can, like, so first of all, I'll ask you, do you think Silas would take any actions in this state?
No,
Okay.
no, he's not at all. He's I would say getting those hit points and then having that happen. Like yeah, he's got nothing this turn.
Okay. Um, so I'll give you a choice, Silas.
Mhm.
You feel the warmth bring you back into consciousness, but you see yourself from a distance. You feel the warmth as, like, instead of it being yours, like you felt healing so many times, like when someone's healed you, it's like, oh yes, my life force is coming back into me, right? Now you're feeling like it's just life force and not necessarily yours, and you have a choice at this point to course that healing into someone that you can see within 90 feet if you chose, uh, instead of yourself, therefore becoming unconscious again.
Where is Lana?
Right beside you, pretty much. Just here.
And she's full health too. Okay, yeah. So Don's the only one that's taking damage. Because isn't Bastion?
Seems that
Yeah,
would be
Bastion's
right.
full.
I don't. Yeah, I think he because
Bastion has taken damage, but Dawn has taken much more.
More, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm gonna make that transference.
Okay, so put yourself back onto 0, and Don, heal yourself for 11. Felice, you see him breathe because you're tending to him. You see him breathe, and then he exhales, and the power, and you're still touching him. I'm going to say you're still touching him because the power didn't quite transfer the way that so you kept your hands there in the hope that it would. You feel it, and then it goes away, and then you feel almost a part of your consciousness fly over to Don, and you see some of his wounds knit back together, and you understand with your superior intellect and wisdom that your healing power instead has gone into Don all the way across the room, and without your guiding it there. That's Silas's turn. Bastian?
Bastion shouts to Lana, "No, you fools! Don't gather together, spread out!" And he'll take a few steps to the side, pull out his flask of Holy Dwarven Ale, chug a bit, and then cast a Channel Divinity Shatter, level 5, on the Forge Master.
Yeah, and at this point, because we're doing that, I also should get Don to do his prepared spell because the Forge Master did appear, and I didn't remember to do that, so I'll remember to do that now. So if you wouldn't mind doing whatever the prepared action that you had at this point.
Yeah, sure.
So a con save. I'll just have to pull up his sheet here. One moment. Thank you.
Sunbeam. Ooh. That's a big one.
So I saved against the Channel Divinity, but I still take 24.
That is correct. Would he need to roll concentration as well?
He takes half damage on a save and he's not blinded, so he'd be taking 11.
Well, the full damage was 48.
So,
Ah,
Dawn,
you
I
mean
think
from
he
me?
rolled for the shatter.
Sorry, I
instead
was
of
thinking about
something.
mine.
Yeah, that's okay. We've got a few things going on. That's all right. So, as far as the shatter, I've taken the damage of that. That's fine. He is. If we didn't remember from last time, he is absolutely bloodied, and more than bloodied. You don't think he's necessarily near to death, but that did severely hurt him. As far as concentration, I know that the fire shield was already disrupted, right? Is he concentrating on anything right now? I know that the Locus is, but I'm not sure he is.
Oh, what he's banging on the forge with.
Alright, yeah, sure, I'll make a save. Okay, I think he's probably not okay at that point because you did 24 and he only got a 25. Is that... yeah. So whatever he was concentrating on is disrupted, and with the sunbeam, that's another con save. So many con saves in the one turn. Yep, he's okay. He takes half damage from that. 11. It is radiant damage. Yeah.
That's correct.
And you've got a mode of brilliant radiance in your hand that sheds light all around. Cool. Did you want to do anything with your line of fire, whatever?
Do I want to do anything with my what?
The line of...
Oh, yeah, we don't need that.
You don't need that? Okay. He's definitely taken more damage. Now, at the end of your turn, Bastien, you hear a sound. It's the sound of a full mug of ale being like toasted with another full mug of ale.
All right.
And you hear a drunken voice, almost like you were in a tavern and you weren't talking to this person, but they were across the room and you could overhear their conversation just like you can in a tavern with some background noise. So you can hear the ambience of a tavern room. You can hear chatter and this voice speaking as if you can overhear a conversation. And the voice says, cheers. It sort of says, he has his whole shield back. It's not being disrupted anymore. And another voice replies to that voice and says, yes, but I'm not sure he's acting the way that he's said that he would. And the other voice sort of says, but he's fighting with his friends against a common enemy. And the other voice sort of says, but he's not healing people. He's not being selfless. He's leaving them to die just like he did before. And the other voice sort of says, perhaps, and you overhear all of this, and you know they're talking about you. How do you react to this?
Those words shake into his soul, but all he can do is grin and bear it. Stands tall and keeps on fighting.
All right, we may come back to that. Is that the end of your turn?
Yep, that is my turn.
Okay. Isdelth, having moved over to the forge, is going to try and disable the the locus for the time being while this all is happening. So let's see here. Yeah. Oops. Cool. That's enough. So his power courses through the chain, and you can see a ghostly eminence crawling up the chain towards the locust. The locust changes color as the ghostly eminence reaches it, and it starts to glow with the ghostly eminence color instead of its own. And then you hear the acoustic sound of it come to an end, and some of the heat in the room starts to back off a little bit, and the mechanic of taking double damage and having to have disadvantage on saving throws against fire, it goes away, and you hear a shout of rage and annoyance coming from the Forge Master. Felice, it's your turn. Although the clockwork creature spends both of its actions rushing towards Isdal. Now it's your turn, Felice.
Okay. Having heard Dawn's advice, and in spite of being just floored about what's happening with Silas, but feeling kind of helpless to do anything more about it, she's going to take cover behind this pillar over here.
Yep.
And she's going to knock an arrow.
Yeah.
And use her bonus action to use lightning arrow, so it'll be ready for her next.
Right. Yeah. So it's
yeah.
Okay. On its turn, the locus is deactivated as far as its aura, but it does have an overriding command from the Forge Master, and so with this is going to hurt it a lot, but it's going to obey that command, and it will lose double hit points from this to fulfill the command. It's not quite unconscious, but another clockwork creature appears. Just here.
Is it performing mitosis?
That's an interesting take. You definitely... You can all, I guess, make me checks. It definitely is an intelligence check. And you can use Arcana. It's definitely not a religion. Probably Arcana for this. If you choose not to, that's fine as well.
Well, I don't know much about magic.
Okay. Felice has a better idea than anyone else, but it's not a perfect idea. Anyone that got under 15, you don't... Maybe the thought crosses your mind about mitosis, but it's not confirmed. As far as with Felice, you definitely see that it's an effort for it to produce these beings, and that it does take of its own life force to do so. So in an imperfect world that this is, I guess that's kind of like mitosis, sort of. So yeah, that's
Law
that.
speaking.
Yeah, I like that you've asked it in those terms though. That's very cool. So Don, we're back to you, and you know the spell that Felice cast. You know Healing Touch. You know that it's a touch spell, and you felt it coming into you when she touched Silas. And that's not normal.
Something is fundamentally wrong, and not just in the elemental plane of fire.
Right. So it's your turn. What do you want to do?
Don will keep advancing, blasting rays of fire from his eyes.
He means ice, right?
I don't know.
Radiant fire. And this is at the our Warforged opponent still.
Yep. Okay.
We have him on the run! Forward!
He makes a save and takes 14. He has ridiculous saves, by the way, especially to Constitution.
Of
Yeah,
course. What
seriously
boss
does.
fight wouldn't?
Right. But, yeah, when I saw it in the book, I'm sitting there going, what? How is this even a thing? But that's okay. This is what we have.
He doesn't even actually need to make the saves. His bonus is higher than the DC.
Yeah. Yeah. Still,
We're
if you
basically banking on him rolling a natural
one, yeah. As unlikely as that is, it's horrible. But you know, we take the stats and we use them. But in this case, with what's going on, you deal radiant damage to him, and another voice speaks to you, Don. It's not the same voice that you were just hearing, but it's in the same language. And it's coming from the Warforged. But he's not speaking. It's coming from the direction of the Warforged, but he's not speaking. And the voice says, "Save me." And it's, yeah, in that same fire elemental language. Which is why you understand it still, because your Helm of Comprehend languages is still going. And
All right.
I guess you can make me a perception check, and because you've heard this voice coming from him, you can do so with advantage. 26 is good enough. When this voice speaks, you see the fire within the Forge Master's armor flare.
I think I might know where that living flame is.
Right. Is that the end of your turn?
Yeah, it's the end of Don's turn.
Lana? You've also seen, though maybe you don't understand it quite as much as Don does, because Don casts Healing Touch all the time, or Cure Wounds all of the time. Lana doesn't, but she's seen it being cast many times before, and she's seen it have this, or similar, if not exactly the same effect every single time. And the same effect has always been that the person that you touch gets healed. And you saw Silas start to breathe, and then exhale, and you saw Don's wounds knit instead of Silas's. And that's nothing like you've seen before.
I think Lana's more focused on the fact that Felice was walking away from Silas. What? And forget what Bastion says. Like, yeah, that might be smart, but at the same time, for Lana, she knows she needs to stick with somebody, and she figures if Felice is gonna go to the fight, she'll stick behind to ward off hopefully anything else that tries to attack Silas, in the hopes that maybe he still is breathing. Like he took a breath. Like, that's a good sign. I don't get what the magic's doing, but we're ready in action. We're going to try and protect him and hope for the best.
What? So what's your ready to action? Sorry?
Stabby stab anything that comes nearby.
All right. It is the Forge Master's turn, and he spends his turn using his leap. Effectively a leap, anyway. Where is it? Let me grab it. So he is going to appear before you. So let's cast that. Anyone in that area will take 19 damage on a failed strength save. So Felice, Lana, and Silas.
That's so much less threatening without it being double damage.
I know, but this is the thing. So
I would like to.
what's this?
I would like to stab it first.
You'd like to stab it first.
I mean, it is right there. Oof.
It is.
So 19 to hit.
Yes, you hit.
Last time I hit that thing with a physical attack, it was a very bad day. I'm just saying.
Well, she's trying to protect Silas, and yeah. So if 19 hits, 7 points of piercing plus sneak attack. The next 21, so 28 points of damage. Pokety poke, and what's the save again? A strength, I heard?
Yeah.
We're gonna. Hey, 17. Does that succeed?
No.
That's pretty good for Lana.
It is pretty good for Lana. But no, it did not succeed.
Oh my god. Oh. Yo.
So each of you will take 19, which will drop will
So
give
kill silent.
Has he only got
Sure.
one save left?
No, but when you take damage and you're down like that, you take double damage, don't you?
I don't. You just take a failed death save.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got one left.
Sorry.
The only thing that would deal double damage is if he's doing a melee attack.
Right. Yeah.
It would
If
be
he's
critical.
attacking.
Oh yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If he's attacking you, absolutely.
Okay.
So you are helpless, but that doesn't mean you take double damage from area of effect spells.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I never had that for anything.
And Lana, I think we I think we narrated that the fire shield was disrupted. He hasn't. Yeah, we did. So
Yeah, that was narrated.
you don't take any damage from that, Lana, but at the end of your turn, he will take one of his legendary actions, and he's going to cast Fire Shield.
Yay.
Silas, I need a death save from you.
Okay.
What are we up to? Whoa! Holy crap! Alright. How does this happen?
Well, apparently that means that I get everything back again, right?
So normally on a natural 20, you can you can come to consciousness on 1 hit point.
Yeah.
Does Silas do
But
that?
I mean, apparently that's what happened. I mean, you can't say no to the dice.
Okay. You come
Who would
back.
have thought that's gonna happen?
I know, but apparently there's some life in Silas yet at the moment.
Yes, there is. Apparently.
So on 1 hit
What the
point,
hell?
and you can take your action. What happens? How do you?
I don't know. Give me a sec. What happens is I'm gonna cast Hellish Rebuke.
Okay.
That's a reaction, and I just got shocked awake. So yeah, I think that's what reaction would be. It would just be to the cast Hellish Rebuke.
Okay. On the Forge Master?
Well, yeah, that's what's in front of me, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I can't get up and move. I'm going to take a hit from that anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. As soon as with a melee attack. So yeah, no, I think, but actually that's a reaction. Can I do that out of turn like that? Just straight away before an action?
You know what? Like, I think it's interesting, so why not, right? Like, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
15 dex, and he'll take 11 and a half if not.
Okay, and this is fire damage? Okay.
Yeah. And
That's
Doesn't
fine.
have anything else.
No, that's alright. I will make him roll his dex save. With a 34, I think he's good.
Oh, just that. Oh, yay. So he takes 6.
He takes 6. Let's see. Forge Master. He's immune to fire, so he doesn't take 6.
So he doesn't take 6, actually.
You hear a voice in your head, Silas. Instead of it says yes. Actually, it's whispering. It says, yes. Feed me, so I may be free.
That sounds a lot like Calcifer.
Sounds a lot like something. What?
It's definitely not coming from the Forge Master. As in, the Forge Master is definitely not speaking, but the voice...
Have we seen his mouth move?
Yes.
When he's spoken to us? Okay.
Yes. And his mouth is definitely not moving. And any one of you, or all of you that are within 5 feet, so Lana, Silas, and Felice, can make me perception checks. For Felice and Lana, because you didn't hear the voice, this will be at disadvantage.
Damn.
If only it wasn't at disadvantage.
Yeah.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah. So all of you see, but not all of you understand that the fire inside of the Forge Master is flaring. For Silas, you are the one that understands that when it flared, it coincided exactly with the voice that spoke to you.
Yeah. Was I not supposed to take in that flame and you're here to take it back? Is that why I'm having a disconnect?
Says, you have something inside. With its power, I could break free permanently. Feed me your power, and I will be free, and you will have sacrificed yourself for good.
For the greater good.
For the greater good.
Well, that is everything that Silas has been told he should be doing. So does this feel at all like it does when he's spoken to the White Phoenix before?
No. Nope, this is not the White Phoenix's voice. This is a voice that you don't recognize. That's just saying, if you feed me your power, I will be free. And it seems to be coming from the Forge Master.
That doesn't sound like a very good idea.
I mean, you can make it
a shitty idea, actually, there, Matt.
Okay, I'm just saying what it says, all right? What you do is up to you. I'm just saying
Silas kind of rolls over onto his side and looks up to Lana and goes, "It's so faint.
It's a what?
All of this is very faint. I see myself, Lana." And then he kind of passes out.
You pass out?
Aw.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean? Like not, unconscious, obviously, but kind of passes out.
Yeah, blackout.
Falls asleep.
All right. Cool. Bastian? Your turn. One second. Let me go back.
Can you guys hear him?
I cannot.
Yeah.
But I don't see
Nope.
that he's muted either. You might need to disconnect and reconnect. Did he say he was going AFK?
I didn't see that.
I really hope you weren't talking about me.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I heard a bunch of he's and he's been quiet, but I didn't hear my name.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
No, you're right. It is your turn.
So Bastion will throw up his hand and he will point at the Forge Master and he'll say, "There, strike now!" And he will cast the level 3 Guiding Bolt.
Whew. Alright. 24. But that's only an 11 versus armor class. Is that correct?
What? The damage or the versus armor class?
Yeah, is the... I just want to double...
It's a level 1 spell that does 46 radiant damage.
Yeah, I just want
I
to
cast as a level 3.
make sure that the calculation against armor class is correct, because it feels like it's low.
It's like really low.
I just want to make sure that we're giving you cleric attack roll. Yeah, okay, it looks like that's correct. Okay. So unfortunately, because the spell rolled an 11 on the attack, it doesn't hit. I have no way of because
Hey,
the things are so funky.
you miss sometimes.
Yeah. So your radiant bolt will fly out from you, and this is what happens, Bastian. Instead of coursing into the creature, you see them fly into the air instead, and a big mug appears, and you see them like ice dropping out of the sky into the mug, and you see the mug splashing with beer.
I think we had a bit too much ale before this fight.
You have a feeling, Bastian, that maybe your god's trying to speak to you.
Alright, that's Bastion's turn.
Okay. It's Isdel's turn. He successfully deactivated the thing, but he has to deal with the creature that's there. He hits it. For 16. He'll try again. He hits it. 12. This is with a psychic sort of attack. He's doing that. And that's his turn. He calls out and he says, I feel a presence inside of that construct. I don't know what it is, but it's not him. He says that aloud so everyone can hear. Felice, what are you doing?
Thanks for the heads up, buddy. So I take my arrow that was knocked. I sling my bow back, onto my shoulder or whatever, but I take the actual arrow and just try to stab him with it.
Alright. Cool. I like it.
How do you want me to make that?
Just roll your normal attack and
Okay.
we'll reduce it by your proficiency, which I believe is 3 at the moment.
Right, okay. And I didn't actually roll that that lightning arrow yet either, so
I'm happy for that. Oh, but yeah, you miss.
oh shit. How do you miss it that close?
Mushu!
Well,
He was right there!
This is
How
the
did you miss?
this is the thing. You don't have to miss. Like, you can literally shove that arrow into his armor and it just splinters in your hand.
Just splinters.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Like, oh crap. And then can I actually pull out my short sword and swipe at him?
well,
with my second attack.
but yeah, before you do, however, because you did attack it, it needs to hit, so and it didn't. All right, that's fine. So go ahead and try to attack it with your sword. Nope.
Oh, jeez. I am just rolling crap. All right.
Yeah, so again, you strike with your sword and you hit again at its plated armor. And, you know, this is the only time, like, you didn't get to fight it last time because you weren't here. So, all of your attacks, everything that you've done so far, even your healing doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Right.
So I don't know what you're gonna do with that.
Felice's pride is seriously wounded at this point. Can I take a disengage action?
Well, no, because
Not if you attack.
yeah, you can't. You could move away, but you would get attacked because disengage is an actual action, not you know.
Which I already used. Okay. Well then, I guess I will cower there.
Right.
Kind of gaping at the whole thing going on with Silas. Apparently, all that's just got me really rattled.
Yeah, I mean, something's it's definitely not right. So Don, I think we're back to you because the locus can't do anything. It hasn't had an input. It's not active. So what are you doing?
Does it have the fire shield up?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna try to dispel it.
Cool.
One second, I'm looking at the description.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like I was saying, the only reason why it didn't.
I'm deciding if I want to use a higher spell slot for it or not.
I would think that probably Don knows what level spell it is.
Fire shield?
Yeah. I think. You know,
I can make a spell check.
Yeah, make a spell check. That sounds like the best plan.
Or, let's see, what would it be? Arcana?
Yeah. Yeah, you know that just at that level will be fine.
4th level, so I want to bump it up by 1 spell slot. But I have that slot, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Cast Dispel is a 4th level. Dawn raises his hand and signals appear in the air around it, spread out, and then stab into our non-friend Warforged with little magic pops, crackles, and then a shattering sound as the energies dissipate.
And what you see, Don, is as the energy of the fire dissipates, it retreats inside of the Warforged. It gets sucked in, like as if something inside of the Warforged is sucking it literally into its body.
Free the elemental from inside it. Break apart the armor. Don will yell.
Lana?
Sure, Delio. Lana's gonna be in, let's stab the guy in the hopes that that'll do more stuff, and then, as well as in the, Silas, he's like, get up, please, as she saw him for a moment.
Oh!
I want to keep that.
Yeah! I imagine you do want to keep that.
What is my attack roll? A dagger does a d4?
Yeah.
Alright, there we go, finally. My bar was being stupid. Well, I rolled a 1 plus my finesse of 5, so 6 piercing plus sneak attack. So 29 points of piercing damage.
But you got a crit.
Oh,
So it's
snap.
actually a
It's-
2
So
and then a 46. So it'd be 48.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, the 2. So the 1, the D4 is also +5 from her dex.
Right.
Oh, okay, so
So
plus 5 more than that. So 48 plus 5 is
53.
53.
All right. Lana, it seems that you brought your can opener with you.
I slice whatever leather strips are there.
There's no leather strips, but
Whatever she's doing, she found the sweet spot.
yeah, Lana plunges her
adrenaline's
dagger
going.
into the metal and just pierces it and starts to rip it
That's
from the creature.
pierce
Lana,
and twist.
all right, I need all of you that are in range, so adjacent to it, to make me dex saves, please.
Oh, gladly. I like dex saves.
Silas, I need to ask
Uh-huh.
you, as this is happening, you hear this voice that you just heard scream in pain.
So,
Well, scream in
alive.
desperation.
Okay.
And you hear its voice, and it sort of says, "If you do nothing, I become nothing." The creature that you see before you, um, this is a curse. If you do not act, I die.
Don't even know who you are.
There's not much time for you to have a full conversation with this thing.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Wouldn't mind just saying that.
It says, "I am the living flame of the elemental plane of fire. I am the living flame of the elemental plane of fire." You never heard of such a thing. You know the elemental plane of fire. You've heard of that. But unless you've been there, you wouldn't have heard of the living flame nor understand anything about it.
Yeah, that's fine. So
But
now it's his turn, right?
yeah, so do you do anything? Do you let it die? I will give Don a chance to
I see.
save it, because if you
Yeah,
decide not to.
yeah. I see what you're saying. And Silas, Silas, would feel that feeling that he had, still very warm in here, obviously, and same feeling that he had when he ingested that mote of flame.
Right.
I feel kind of comes all over him, and
Well, you have a feeling that the only reason why you can understand it is because you ingested that motor flame.
right, and he says, "For the greater good." And he looks up at Lana and says, "I'm sorry." And he lets the mote of flame come out of him, and it goes into that creature.
Silas erupts in fire.
And Lana shrieks.
White hot fire. It does not hurt you because it's confined to him, but the fire then gets pulled into the frame of this warforged, and the armor melts off it, completely melting onto the ground, and a burst of white flame erupts from it. And a creature much like you saw in the sewers, but much older and much larger, appears before you. And he booms and he says, "This one pointing to a charred corpse, has sacrificed himself for the living flame. Silas's body is consumed in ash, and you blink. There might be tears for those who knew Silas. There might be relief for those that didn't get along with him. But you all blink, and in the next moment, you see another figure standing above Silas's body, and it is the body of someone who some of you will recognize. Before you is Silas's sister, Sierra Phoenix.
Oh gosh. Lana just bursts out into more tears. I'm like, shit. How do we explain this?
You have no idea how she got here, by the way.
Yeah, still she's there, and it's like, well, hi, your brother just. So yeah, Lana's just more.
Alright, so I'm just going to resize her. I'm going to move Silas down here. She is there. And just so that everyone can see, this is Sierra Phoenix.
Hey, can you make it so the
So what?
nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Yep.
What?
Felice just looks around in bewilderment. She's like, what the heck?
Sierra is also looking around in bewilderment.
Who the heck are you?
Felice, yeah. You
That's
actually,
fucking
like, make me an intelligence check, Felice.
Where is it? 4. No, not a save. Am I blind? Where the heck is it listed? Core.
You can make a history check if that's easier.
Oh, that would be
To find.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. 10? Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, you do ask that question. You have no idea who this is.
Who the heck?
Right? What does Sierra say? Do you want me to take this?
She's looking down at the ground. And she's standing in a pile of dirt.
Ash. Yeah.
Smoldering ashes. Right?
Yeah. And she.
Just to be clear,
Phoenix.
as much as I want to do introductions, we kind of still have a Warforged beating our ass right now.
No, he's
Yeah, and it's its turn.
He's dead, man. He's gone.
Oh, all right.
Look at Lana May getting a kill shot.
In fact,
Yeah.
where the Warforged was is a white flame, much like the one that you saw in the sewers, but white and elderly instead of Groot, and clearly much larger than the one you saw in the sewers, and has just spoken to you and said that effectively Silas sacrificed himself for it to be alive.
Do you want me to re-roll for Sierra here?
re-roll.
For initiative, or am I just to take silences?
There is no initiative, no.
Okay, so we're out of initiative. Well, don't we have the thing to fight still?
Effectively, with the Forge Master gone, they
They are set loose.
they scatter and skitter,
Leave.
basically up to here, up to the trough of water, and they immerse themselves in it. Well, it's more like oil or whatever, but whatever liquid it is, they immerse themselves in it, and and then they come out, and they are not acting aggressively. They go about repairing the machine.
So it kind of appears as if it's what it would have been doing.
Correct.
Back to it.
And Isdelth, the ghost, who is still alive here, will tell you that that is their normal function. So every round, they will be able to heal the locus for a d6. But we don't need to roll for that. So, yeah. I'll try and find some sort of fire so that we can represent it. Let's go with this one. There you go. So, yeah, there is no armor anymore. It's all been melted onto the ground. This creature is there. And apparently Sierra is there.
Yeah, and Sierra kind of steps out of the pile of dust and sees this fire creature in front of her.
Yeah.
And
she recognizes a few of the people in the room.
yes, that is certainly Lana May standing in front of. I'm not dumb. I know who that is.
You also know who Felice is, even though Felice doesn't recognize you.
Yes, I do. And is the fire elemental thing being aggressive at all?
Nope. Absolutely not being aggressive.
Is that the conversation from you guys?
Mind you, you haven't answered Felice's question.
No, I know. I know. It's a very obedient.
Felice, she's completely ignoring your question.
Yeah.
Sebastian speaks up. Dawn, what the heck is happening? Why is Spicy so big?
That's not spicy.
That's super spicy.
This is like Spicy's great times 5 grandfather. Let's say that. That makes sense.
Oh, should I send him back home?
I think he'll go on his own.
Indeed, I will. Once I thank you. It is the actions of that one, points to the pile of ash, and all of you who together set me free. I am the living flame. I hail from the plane of fire. And this one bound me inside of his body and cursed it so that if he were to ever die, so would I. But by the actions of this one, and points again to the pile of
His
ash.
name was Silas.
Wait, you that is Silas.
Oh god.
She says that outwardly, dude. I don't know.
Well, it was
I was
Silas.
just making an ugly face and just trying to keep herself together very poorly.
Was you said Silas?
Yes.
Well, don't get too upset. He's been dead for years.
Oh wow.
Lana shoots a dirty look at
Is
Dawn.
that tree man there, Lana?
Nods. She nods her head.
He's never been more alive recently, there, Treeman.
Well, regardless.
I was standing in that dust of my brother. Is what we're. And she looks at the living flame and goes, "So you're my brother."
The living flame like looks at you and goes, "No, young one, no. Your brother is gone."
I think it'd be more appropriate to say that you rose from his
Ashes.
ashes.
Yes, he.
Which,
Like a tree.
considering his last name, maybe that's
Also my last. There. My brother. There. If you didn't understand. My name is Sierra Phoenix. Her twin, his twin sister.
Felice, you do recognize that name. You studied for a very short amount of time at the Library of Korenberg, and you remember some of the students talking about Sierra just in passing, but you never really met. But you do recognize the name from there.
You've been to the university, haven't you?
Library.
Library, sorry.
yeah. Yes, I studied there.
In Korenberg.
I've heard your name there.
Yeah. Because it's where I attend. I was there just a moment ago. In a study. Studying. So now I'm here, and you do notice she has on regular travel everyday clothes. Completely. And
Yeah, not clothes for adventuring. Just
no, not at all.
clothes. Yeah, you would wear to any class or library.
Regular
clothes.
regular clothes.
And she has nothing with her, really, either.
She does have her satchel.
All right, cool. So
And she walks this way. Oops, that's not a thing that. Oh, I can't control that thing yet.
okay,
Can you make the token so I can put it?
sure.
And also so that I can get the HP thing.
Sure. Okay, so hopefully.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So You've
I'm starting to walk a wide berth away from this living flame. It's warm, right?
I mean, you can feel it. It doesn't. It's not overwhelming considering there's lava just over there.
Yeah.
The lava's hotter than it, but yes, because it's right next to you. Yeah. Also, um, yeah, that's all right.
What are you doing here? And she has actually no. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna come over this.
She
I'm gonna move
knows.
this way.
She knows. She knows some of what Silas left for, and she knows that Silas left with most of this group. Although you don't really recognize Bastian, but you would have heard the name, and you would recognize that he's a Warforged, and that Silas spoke of a Warforged.
Yeah.
So this is the party that Silas said that he would be traveling with. So it's not unusual that you're somewhere different, but why you're necessarily in a massive forge with lava flowing could be a question, yeah.
Yeah. I I really think that I need some air. Quite stifling in here.
Also,
And
yeah.
she she she's kind of pacing around. She comes back over to where that pile of dust is and would gather some of that.
Alright. Felice, you've seen teleportation magic. You know what it feels like, especially Fey teleportation magic. This doesn't feel anything like that when she appeared. There was not a Fey signature to it at all. Whatever teleportation magic was used, it certainly was not connected with anything Fey. I'm not sure if that piques your attention or interest or not, but most teleportation magic has a Fey element to it.
Huh. Okay, it would pique her attention, her interest, but I think she'd tuck it away to examine later.
Okay. So we haven't heard much from Don and Bastian, and Lana's kind of emotional right now by the sounds of things. I don't want to press on you too much about that, but if you want to say or do anything.
Well, welcome to the jungles of Zendrix. I hope you have a good time. Exits over there. I suggest foraging for fruits, but don't eat ones of this color or that texture, and avoid anything larger than yourself or smaller.
Anything larger
Have
or
fun.
smaller than yourself. I love it.
Bastion will make his way over to the forges and essentially ask how he can help.
Okay. Well, Isdelth will say, just as he said a little while back, that each of you will need to donate an item of your choice to him so that he can imbue it with magical power, and he will show you what you can do to assist him in this forging process. And if you want to assist him, like be his assistant, it will take less time. It doesn't take less time for us, but it takes less time for the characters if you agree to if you help him.
All right.
Why not? Don will donate those living wood antlers that he got from the
Ooh,
that one treasure island that we stopped in.
very cool. Do you have an idea about, like, okay, let me ask the general group this. Do we want to decide today what these items are, or do you want to, like, go and have a look through all of the options in the next couple of weeks before next session and decide on something then? Because I don't mind, but one of those things needs to happen. Either I can come up with something myself, or you can come up with something, and as long as it's not a legendary, like, or unique item, pretty much anything in the DMG is up for grabs. It'll just... And if you don't want anything in the DMG, and you can think of a magical effect that you could use, and you run it past me, I guess. So yeah, do we want to do this now or off stream?
Off screen, I think would be good, especially since Lana's. If this is something that can happen a different day, Lana would probably be better for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, no, this has to happen at this time, but we'll just figure out what those things are.
Yeah, yeah, we don't have to. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Agreed.
looks at the fire elemental. Now that you're here, what are your intentions?
To return to the elemental plane of fire, it says, after I say thank you.
Okay.
He says, I am not... I come here with nothing. And you can see that it's just fire. And he says... But this metal, I can use it. And he will begin to shape the melted metal that's on the ground that was used to hold him, curse him. And he'll shape it into... each of you will effectively get a lantern. And he separates mini living flames from himself and puts them in the lanterns, and you each get a lantern of revealing. Which I will show later in the items, but it'll be a lantern of revealing, and it'll be a living flame. And once a day you can ask it a question related to fire or the plane of fire, and it will answer as clearly as it can, or as honestly and fully as it can about those things, but it only really knows about fire and the plane of fire. So
Thank you.
it's a special lantern of revealing, and that is how the only way that he knows how to thank you. And he then will come over to Don, and he will say, for you, guardian of nature, there is one more thing I can give you.
Most gracious.
And he will add 1 level to every fire spell that you cast, in the sense that if you cast a fire spell at 1st level, it's now being cast at 2nd level. It's a free level.
Ooh.
And it doesn't matter. I guess what this will look like is maybe a belt or a bracer of fire that doesn't hurt you or anything, but I would say a diadem, but you're giving antlers to the giant, so that your head slot will be taken. So a slot that's not taken.
Don wears many hats.
Even, you know what? I'm going to call it this. I'm going to call it an Aeon Stone, Don. He gives you an Aeon Stone that floats around your head. It doesn't take up your head slot because it's an Aeon Stone. So while you're attuned to that, I don't know how many items you're going to be attuned to at this point, but while you're attuned to that, any fire spell you cast will be +1 free level.
A most generous gift from the living flame. Thank you.
You'll then bow to the group in general and say, thank you, you have set me free. Good luck in your journeys, and may you live long lives. And he will effectively erupt into flame and not be there anymore. And Felice, you definitely sense an aspect of Fey magic as he teleports himself back to the plane of fire.
I could be, if anybody's looking at me, they might notice that I'm pondering Sierra. Like, that just kind of makes me look at her again and go, what?
Yeah. Yeah. If anyone was to try and figure out what sort of magic she came here by, it would be a religion check, and that's not something Felice is really...
Nope.
By all means, you can make me an untrained religion check and see if she can figure it out. If she's like really... I mean, that seems like something she would do. She'd be like, can I understand this? So make me a check and see, because you never know, you might roll well. Nah, she's got no idea.
No, she is just clueless about religion.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I think this is a religious thing, but I just don't.
Yep, you don't know what brought her here. And she, looking at her, Felice, you can see that she's just as confused as you are.
Yeah.
And she's emotional as she's gathering up Silas's ashes. The ashes of her twin brother.
Oh, awful.
Yeah. Mary, I don't know if you want to talk at this point. I feel bad for you.
Anna's gone into hiding while everyone figures out what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. Like, Lana's the homesickness has kicked in and whatnot, and while people are kind of talking, figuring out, she's just kind of retreating because it's been real, and it just got especially real where it's like, yeah, Silas died, and she doesn't really want to necessarily get everyone up in her business, like, because she's already been that emotional roller coaster throughout this whole thing, and right now it's just very heightened and peaked, and she's a little upset too. Like, she kind of wants to point a finger at Bastion, like, why the hell didn't you heal him? But at the same time, she also kind of recognizes that would it have made a difference if Felice's magics didn't work? And so she's very angry, and yeah, she doesn't really necessarily want to lash out at people because they kind of need to work together still, even though she's really heartbroken.
Oh well, guys, we tried. We'll just disband now.
Wait, what?
Felice will wander over, I guess, to Sierra.
Who
I'm
is
sorry,
weeping into, yeah.
I'm so sorry for your loss. And I just put a hand on her shoulder, like, I don't know if it'll be a comfort to you or not, but he chose this. He clearly felt it was important.
You clearly heard him say for the greater good at the end.
Yeah. He Right. So yeah, so she'll relay that. Like, yeah, he said it was for the greater good. And for what it's worth, I tried. I tried to heal him. I felt it. I felt it go to him, and he rejected it somehow. I'm so sorry. And then I just walk away because I don't want to intrude, but I wanted to offer something.
And as you walk away, she looks up at you and goes, "Do you think it's even possible that I was put here because we're, besides gender, the same?
Oh,
I was standing in his ashes there. It's Felice, right?"
right. I turn back to her and look at her, and I I it I can tell you it wasn't a typical teleportation spell. It didn't it didn't feel like
I
fey
can tell.
magic at all.
In fact,
So
Felice, it didn't feel like magic.
it it didn't even feel like magic. It just you were just there. So it's a
Why
fear
are we
to work
here?
on.
Why are we here, Felice? This is a very interesting place.
You can see
Mm.
that, like, she can see that Bastian and this ghost are working the forge now. It's been a few minutes. They're starting to get themselves prepped. Don has given them uh, his antlers, these very magnificent antlers, and they're sort of putting them on the forge, and you can see, like, she can see, and we can all see that uh, the ghost is pulling energy from this floating device down the chains into the anvil, and as he's working it, both, you know, not he's not working it with his hammer. There's other tools because of the nature of the item that Don's given, and it's pretty clear that he's forging something or creating something from the item that Don's given, but it's going to take some time. But I mean, as far as why you're here, that's kind of what's happening. To like, so it's. I think she's intelligent enough to see that happening and to figure out that maybe it has to do with that. But you can still ask the question if you think maybe she's just double checking.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. I guess it doesn't matter why you're here. So now I am. And that I'm in his place. Very strange. Um, and if Felice is walking that way, she will the remains and walk over this way if that's where everybody's gathering. Here near the guys.
So when she says, "I'm in his place," for those of you that heard that, which would be pretty much everyone, maybe except for Bastion, who's all the way over there, but I think Bastion will probably hear anyway. Uh, when she says, "I'm in his place," um, it feels like, even unintentionally, without her meaning to, that this has multiple levels to it. Like, that's true not just because she materialized physically there, but something about her, certainly for those that have met her before properly, is different in the sense that not only is she slightly older, because you would have seen her only like 5 years ago or 3 years ago, 3 to 5 years ago. Not only is she a little bit older, but the how can I say this? The new part of Silas, the White Phoenix part of Silas, had a certain feeling to it. The way that he spoke about it and the way that he felt when you were near him, maybe felt something, and that doesn't quite carry over, but it's close enough that there's a familiarity there, like she's taken his place on that level as well, not just physically.
Hey, Matt, can you turn off the turn order?
I can.
Thank you, sir. Wait. Yeah. So, do we press on? What is the... Have you finished what you came for?
Oh, we've only just begun. And I nod over at the work being done at the forge.
Right. Where did Lana go?
Yeah, I noticed she's missing from the...
Matt, oh no, she's way over here in the
Perception
corner.
check.
She's hiding. She's hiding.
Perception check. You see if you can hear her crying.
I'll roll that. I'll roll that right now. 17.
I'd say it's feasible.
Yeah.
She's not wailing or anything, but I'd say 17 would hear the sniffles.
Is there rocks over here? Is that are those taller than to be
That's
able
what
to
it
see
looks
Lana?
like. I just figured she'd
Yeah.
like kind of creep through. Like that's probably the most like out of the way in the shadows until she hears people calling for her or
Oh, there you
the
are.
sounds of what people are leaving.
Yeah. I'm going to go find Lana.
Okay.
You know they were very close, right?
I suspected they were at least at some time.
Yeah, when I met her, they were complicated. But then 5 years has passed. A lot of things have changed.
As they have a habit of doing.
See you in a few minutes. And she does walk over to here. Oops. Map is way too big. Are you okay?
What? Sorry. Is it time to go?
I don't know. They're forging things or something.
Okay. And
It's it's really something.
yeah, sorry you can't be here on better circumstances.
You know him
And
better than
Lana's like refusing to really look at her, just kind of embarrassed. Dad's like, I'm bawling. I don't want my privacy, but whatever.
Yeah. I'm going to use a bardic inspiration
All right.
to do my inherent ability to cast calm emotion over her.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can do that 4 times, 4 times a day.
So.
I'm laughing because if you're casting out on her, she's just gonna bawl a little bit more, and
Uh-huh. So it's
A charisma
17.
save? Yeah.
Yeah, it's charisma saving throw. Yeah, 17.
Alright.
13, so it fails. So therefore,
Yeah,
she
no,
feels
yeah,
better.
No. So you can suppress an effect causing a target to be charmed or frightened, so that's not the case.
So
you can
okay,
make a
so,
target
wait a minute.
indifferent about creatures of your choice that is hostile towards. So I don't think that's going to do what you want it to do.
It's not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna.
That's okay, because if it did calm her,
That's not, well, actually, it's not. It's not a really trick. So let's see. That doesn't do it. That doesn't do it.
So even though maybe the spell doesn't do exactly this, maybe we can because we're role playing as well, right? So we don't necessarily have to have it do in the spell text what she wants, because her thing. So Mary,
yeah,
Sierra's whole thing is that when she speaks, she captures a room and she captures emotion, and she can channel you to where, not necessarily where she wants you. She doesn't just charm everyone, but she can hold a room, right? She's a performer. She can speak, and when she speaks, things maybe make sense or are.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
If she's a bard, she has just bardic abilities, which means she can just do music, which just make a charisma check to. She performs. Does the performance make you feel better?
Right. And that doesn't necessarily mean that Lana instantly isn't crying anymore, because that's not realistic. But she might feel a little bit calmer,
Yeah.
maybe
I really like what Don said there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not no. I mean, not really paying attention. It just kind of was on her back. She actually does swing around. It looks like a mandolin kind of. And well, it's a lute actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. And she does play a very soothing tune, and
So I think a combination of things, the fact that there's some soothing music, and the fact that Sierra has calmness or the presence of mind to pick up an instrument and try to calm you down. I think Lana would realize that she's trying to calm you down, but the fact that Silas's own twin sister has the presence of mind to attempt that probably impresses Lana a little bit as well. It doesn't mean you don't feel emotion, and it doesn't mean that you're going to stop crying, but there might be something inside of all of that. What Don said, what Stephen has said, what Corey has said, and what I have said, that inspires you to know how this might affect Lana in a certain way. And how you do that is up to you, because you know Lana the best.
Yeah. I get all that. So listening to the music and whatnot. Lana's, I'd say, the tears stop, but her body language is still kind of just stiff. Her eyes look like they are lost in thought. And after, I don't know, some time, maybe 5 minutes at most, Lana would just kind of think, so yeah, for the music and be like, we may want to go see how the forging is going.
Really
And
hot in here.
stand up. You can't hear me?
No, I said it's really hot in here.
Oh, okay. And Lana would kind of give a soft nod of the head and lead the way out of the area.
Yeah.
Cool.
There we go. Let's go.
Sorry.
Oops, all right. Clicked on that accident.
It's all right. Right.
Trying to put the token over.
So you're leading the way. Where exactly? Sorry.
Just over to where they're forging.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, that's going on. It's clear that whatever object they're up to, it is being imbued with some sort of magic. And you can see the power not just flowing from the actual forge, but you can see that the power is mostly coming from the ghost. And you can see that as the ghost works, that he's getting weaker and weaker. And at the end of this, this is the last of his power. He's declared this, right? So this is an ancient giant, who was an ancient forger of ancient legendary items, and the last of his power is being poured into these items. So that will be relatively evident as he's expending the last of his energy on this. And Bastian's helping, so he's,
Guidance. You can do it. Believe in yourself.
Double guidance. Believe more.
Jeez. Could inspire it.
Do it. Do it.
I absolutely will.
Yeah.
Have a bardic inspiration. Bam.
Yeah. So, where do we want to go from here, and how do we facilitate moving on? Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to get these items imbued, but I don't know whether we need to roleplay all of that time. I feel like maybe just summarizing what we do in that time so that we each know, and at the end of that time, Isdelf will basically, he won't be able to use any of his powers anymore, and he won't be able to help us in combat anymore, and effectively he'll be with us, but I won't represent him. As soon as he's back with the rest of the giant ghosts, there'll be even an off-screen scene of Rin guiding them to release. We don't have to do that necessarily. So as far as that side of things, we don't have to take time on it. But if you guys want to narrate what you do during this time, you can. If you want to talk more between each other, you can. If you think that we've done enough, or if you want to move on from here to a next major scene, you can. I want to make sure that everyone's feeling good about where we are and what we're doing. And so feel free to just tell me about what you think is next and how to get there, because I don't fully know and I don't want to be disruptive.
So, what wood do we dig up while we're waiting?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Is there anything worth looting from the forge?
So effectively, you each give him a mundane magical item, and he makes it into whatever we decide to make it into. So you can make that decision as players, or you can ask me, and it can be items from the DMG, or it can be something of your design with my approval. We don't have to necessarily decide that, but yes, you're getting any item that's not legendary or unique in the sense of like it's not can't be an intelligent item or an artifact, but it can be anything else in the book or with an effect that seems to make sense. So effectively, we're getting one item each to whatever you want, really.
Fantastic.
All right, that sums it up nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, and we also got the lantern as well. So effectively, we're getting 2 magic items. And
Cool.
And what is next? If I remember rightly, we've collected all the weapons, so we need to feed them to that snake thing, right?
Right, yeah. So we need to go back to the Androgini, present them to her, and have her find the location of the portal with them. Who is that, by the way?
It's coming from Mary.
Okay. Not sure she realized. Let me go back to the goal here. Can I... I'll just... Oop. Alright. Cool. So... Yeah. As far as items, that's that. So I think we could probably just skip to the Androgini if we're all okay with that. I don't know, like having effectively kind of a new party member in Sierra might seem a bit weird. I don't know that we've really accepted.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I was kind of asking what they were doing here. So, yeah. I mean, if we're gonna leave the forge after all that is done, that's cool. But I certainly would like to roleplay some to find out like what happened and such.
Yeah. So okay. So on a facilitation level, yeah, Corey would like to run Sierra for the one last session that we have. For
Yeah, we
next
thought it was gonna be
time.
3, but
Potentially, yeah. Because of reasons, and that's fine. I'd like to have that be somewhat realistic in the sense that I don't know what the party is thinking or feeling about that. Certainly, I know Lana's upset about Silas not being there.
Well, I could see because they're going to be walking out of the forge together and
Correct.
whatnot, right?
Yes.
So like that would be a very ideal time of catching up and being like, well, this is what we've been doing, and what we were doing here is combining said weapons and whatnot, using the forge for a purpose because we are going after a lich. And so I can see that being a really useful amount of time. And I'm not sure if, like, I am certainly just glossing over in the sense. And I don't know if there's anything in there that Sierra would really latch on to and what she would want to, like, stick around, help them. Lana would certainly just apologize at one point again for just like, yeah, sorry about your loss, our loss. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that she would say, and I don't want to speak for Silas, sorry.
No, I got this. So there's a great war coming. Has she ever heard of those weapons in her studies?
So
Is there anything that would ever come
she
up?
doesn't know that there's a war coming. However, there are
Because
some
that way.
things. If I know that you're glossing over for the benefit of moving on, and that's fine. The thing is, would we, as a group, any of us, including Felice, talk about who this lich is and what organization she runs? Because we're talking about defeating this lich. Would we say, you know, it's Lady Vol, she's in charge of this, and she's doing this, she's creating this portal so that, you know, to open a portal to the realm of Delcor, and then their inhabitants will come into our reality and all hell will break loose. Like, would we talk about that as to our purpose? Hello?
I think we would start with finding out how much Silas told Sarah.
Sierra knows that Silas was going with this group of people, and he would have said who they were, i.e., Lana, Don. He would have spoken about your names, I suppose, but he wouldn't have known you too much to like describe you at that point. And he would have said, "We're going to Zendrick because it's far away," so he would want to tell her that he was going to Zendrick, and he would say, because of the nightmares. He would have said that the kids are having these nightmares, or that other kids are having these nightmares, or whatever. And then he'd be saying, the kids are having these nightmares, I need to figure it out. Like, that was his whole thing. Like,
Right.
He had other stuff there because they're of the White Phoenix, but he would have spoken to Sierra more about the kids because of that, and then he probably would have just added as an aside, like I feel compelled to do this because of what's inside of me, because I'm new, because I've chosen to be good, right? So he would have added that as like a little bonus, but he wouldn't have gone into that, I don't think, too much. Would Silas have spoken at length about the White Phoenix to Sierra? No, yeah.
So, no, they talked very, very infrequently. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So
it's like at birthdays and that type of thing, and a little message maybe at the holidays, but there wouldn't have been very much more than that.
Yeah. So it's really basics.
Yeah.
So I think that unless somebody else in the party indicated that they didn't think that Felice should be completely frank, I think she would be. I think she would, share that what we've learned since we departed and those specifics.
Does anyone object? No one objects? I'll take that as a no. No one objects, so you would inform her, and the thing that, she'll understand. So you can see understanding in her eyes. You also see that she's trying to take, like, your characters have had weeks and months to absorb all of this. She's having minutes to absorb all of this. So it's all crazy to her. And then something occurs to her which none of you know about. And she probably, knowing Sierra maybe slightly more than Corey, but I've tried to inform Corey as much as I could. Knowing her slightly more than Corey, I will say this. As soon as you mention about Lady Vol and her organization, Sierra would be super, like, committed to trying to assist in any way. The reason why is because she actually knows, which none of the rest of us know. Even Silas maybe didn't really know for sure, but Sierra's discovered it, that her dad and Silas's dad, he works for the Emerald Claw, and Lady Vol is in charge of the Emerald Claw.
Oh, Lord.
Wonderful. Just the person I'm trying to stay away from.
Exactly. So she would feel like she needed to do something, but she would be petrified. But she would also know that these people, that Silas has spoken the best about these people that he's ever spoken about anyone, really. That they are, he considered them safety for him, like he was going to be with his friends. And maybe, and she sort of says, well, you are the most competent people that I've heard of that are here in Zendrick. So I feel like I would be the most safe with you. I don't want to see my father, and if he captures me,
It's gonna be bad.
it's going to be bad. However,
It's gonna be really
I
bad.
want to stop him, and stopping him means stopping Lady Vol, and vice versa. Stopping Lady Vol means stopping him. So she would be invested in helping despite her fear.
Yeah, it sounds like a win-win.
So I don't know how we're going to take that as far as a party, and if we are accepting of that, but that's what she would say.
Well, more the merrier.
I'm not the same as him.
I hope not. But isn't that one of the first things you said when you got here, that you're the same as him?
She said,
Well,
I've taken his place.
yeah, and the same as him, meaning like being of the same birth type deal thing. You know what I mean? Like
Genetics and whatnot.
kind of like the like Avatar movie feeling.
Yeah, and if any one of you met, like Don and Lana, for example, would know that Silas got the human side of the genes and Sierra got the elven side of the genes. So they're both half elves, but yeah,
You
effectively.
wouldn't see them very often if we've been together for a day or so, but she does have elven.
Yeah. Yeah, so because of the split in the genes, Silas made his character as a human, and Sierra's character is actually an elf. So because of that, that's the way that the genes split. They didn't split into half-elf genes. They split into a twin being all human and a twin being all elf.
Very weird.
Whoa.
Either that or there's two different mothers or fathers.
No, it's the same mother.
Are you
And
sure?
father.
Are you sure?
As I've been told.
I don't think that's how genetics work.
I know.
Twins. They're
Anyway,
twins.
making fun of that out of character.
No. It was a very interesting thing that was made here.
Wow. Okay. So they'd be fraternal twins.
Right.
Clearly. As paternal as you can get.
Yeah, and there's not like
That's a good one. Wow.
yeah, it's a bit nuts, but this is the beauty about having a fictional realm with all of these different races.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff can happen, and you don't actually see this explored very often. And
Yeah, it was neat.
I thought it was a cool thing to have happen. So
Yeah, it was kind of the cornerstone of who he was in the very beginning.
correct.
And it's funny, the two people that weren't there in the beginning are the ones that are wowing about it. That's kind of funny. But yeah, so
Well, I mean, Felice is a true half elf, right? She's
right.
Right.
So that would be especially interesting to her
Yeah, I don't know.
in some ways
I don't know that
because
she's
you're very different from her, where you should be really similar.
right. Yeah, that, and it is significant, and she can tell. Like Felice absolutely can tell that that
He
Sierra
looks much more elven.
is an elf. She is.
Like, oh yeah.
So
She looks like a high elf for the most part.
well, yeah,
A little behind the curtain again. She's not a high elf, but she looks like a high elf.
yeah. It's a bit it's a bit freaky, perhaps.
It's
The
something I've tried to study, Felice. I don't know how that phenomenon is possible. It is. But it also, because my father is the elf, and my mother, find her at some point. She's been gone for a while. It was a human, so it's very strange.
That is truly unique, Sarah. Truly.
By the way, I think that Sierra would mention her father's name when she speaks about him, and she would
She says.
she would say his name, Savelis de Thorani, and at that point, Felice would start to probably freak out a little bit too. I'm guessing. You've heard of Savelis de Thorani, and you know that he is
Of House Durrani.
he is a necromancer who traveled to the Shadow Marches many years ago.
And
yeah.
Whoa.
Goes a bit further than that, even. I do have the mark.
Yeah, she's dragon marked as well. So she's the daughter of Zara Phoenix, who you went to school with. She's also the daughter of Savelis de Thorani, one of the most recognizable and feared necromancers of this age, and she's dragon marked.
Surprised she
Wow.
doesn't just melt away in this heat.
Right.
I don't even know how to process all that.
Throw in there that she's now become the White Phoenix, and we have a truly terrifying.
Yeah, because I don't know how to feel about that. Like if she's also still the White Phoenix, because that's a lot to have to deal with. I do think before longer than short, she's been there when her brother has meditated to the White Phoenix.
So in all, mechanically, she's just a carrier at this point.
Okay.
For that, like, so
cool.
The White Phoenix is looking for another host, and the only person that it knew to pull in was the twin, because the blood connection. So it did,
Yeah.
and she's carrying it until another host is found effectively.
Cool.
Sounds kind of cold and callous like that, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
So she's not fully the White Phoenix, because she hasn't taken on the Sworn Oath nor the all of the rest. She's just.
So it literally is almost the Avatar movie. like her genome matches what the White Phoenix can do. So here, this is the one we'll choose.
Sure. Let's go with that. That wasn't my intention, but
But it's kind of funny.
Anyway, so Felice, yeah, I mean this is kind of a big deal, I guess.
Yeah.
Heavy information.
Yeah. Just kind of.
Do you want to make me a history check real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Now I would know that Lana would have known
Oh.
of the backstory to that, but she wouldn't have known she was dragon marked and all that. You know what I mean? But
I don't
She wouldn't
know
know.
even if Sierra
Even if
really
any of that.
understands. Really? Yeah.
no, she doesn't. She doesn't totally understand why. I mean, it's mother enslaved her forever. Oh, it gets juicier than that. There, Miss Felice.
No, we don't need more juice at the moment. We're fine.
it
We're
gets
fine.
way
Is that where
juicier.
the dragon mark is?
No, it's not that. The thing. Yeah, I know. It's juicier.
So
Wow.
with that
Alrighty
Arcana check, I can give you this, Felice, and you don't necessarily have to speak to anyone about this, because not even Sierra will know this particular aspect of Savalis because you've studied, specifically Elven magic and Fey magic. So the Thuranis are shadow dragon marked. So the dragon mark of shadow sort of emanates from the plane of shadow, which the Fae have connections with. Something that you would definitely have explored, if not thoroughly. And because you rolled a 20 on your check, I can tell you that what Savalis has been noted as doing in the Shadow Marches is an experiment to create undead mind flayers.
Whoa.
As in necromancy with mind flayers.
Oh no. What?
Yeah. Which is fucking terrifying.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. So, am I, yeah. All right. So, I mean, that would
Heavy shit.
connect nightmares, wouldn't it? Two?
I don't know. No.
Not necessarily. Okay. Shit. Okay.
So
Still freaking
not
crazy though.
yeah, not so dynamically that Felice goes exactly there. But because you've brought that up, there are vague connections here, and we don't, because we've asked questions about this previously, we can now sort that information out together, right? Because she's now said this, and Felice is like, oh shit. Right? Like, so
Right.
you can work it out together, because with your information combined, I am Captain Planet. So effectively, so yes, mind flayers do have a psychic thing with them. Yeah, we all know this. However, the dream magic or the nightmare magic, it was twofold. You discovered you did definitely feel Fey magic coming from the speakers, who were speaking, like the kids that were speaking the words, you definitely felt Fey magic, if you remember that.
Right.
However, the voices that they were speaking in were not Fey voices, they were serpent voices.
Right.
So and we've since learned that Lady Vol is working with the Drow and with the Yuan-Ti, which combines those two things. And now we've learned, right now, that Savalis de Thorani, who is working for Lady Vol, has been trying to make undead mind flayers, and it makes sense how all of those things were combined. That Fey magic with Yuan-Ti, those two magics never really gelled, but in together with this idea of mind flayers, that makes sense
Together.
So yeah, you think that that's how this has all come to pass, and without any of those elements, potentially it wouldn't have happened this way. Yes, Mary.
Holy, wow. So I think Felice would maybe, chew on that a bit. And then I think when we're stopped at some place a little more comfortable than this, maybe she'd bring it all together in a document for everybody, like chart it out and be like, look, we got this, we got this, we got this.
Yeah, nothing like that gives us better maybe information, but it doesn't necessarily help us either, because it's still the same issue. We have Lady Vol, who's in charge of an organization. Now we know how she's done what she's done.
Right.
But the fact remains that she has already done what she's done. And that if she succeeds further, that, definitely the portal will be opened. So it's still the same issue. We just understand better how it came to pass. Yeah.
So and actually, let me revise that last statement. It'd be more like as we're walking along, like getting out of there, she'll just relay it to everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me one bit.
But he had a chance to process the other stuff first.
Right. So, this plan has been going on a very long time. Which is kind of the premise of this whole campaign, right? Like, in Eberron lore, it specifically says that no one really understands Lady Vol's goals or plan. So I created a plan that has basically lasted many generations and has just recently started to come to fruition. So all of this that we're seeing, the Thoranis being involved in the magic, that's canon. Lady Vol doing strange, weird things and looking for Mark of Death and all that's canon, but how it all came together is my creation and my story and what I'm presenting to you here.
Yeah, I love it. Well, man, how much longer do you want to go?
I think this is it for this session. I think that's good information. The sense that, as far as meeting with the Androgini, we don't need to go terribly in depth with that because the Androgini will just tell us where we're going. So next session, we can figure out between now and then how our characters want to confront Lady Vol. We can even have a quick chat about it now, if we want, off stream. I'll stop the stream and thank you very much all for playing. And then, we'll be back in 2 weeks with a slightly longer session and the final session. So let me stop it and talk to you and ask you about you know, whether we talk about it now or in between. But thank you everyone that was watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you everyone that was playing, because this was a really fun session. So I'll stop recording
Cool.
here.